Oh, you got that staff file. I'll check it out on Thursday. We're not going into the building tomorrow, and then I'll let you know. Yeah. Sounds good.
I don't. Is it okay?
Hi, Chris. Good, how are you? You doing all right? Still got you on the radio. Are you hearing yourself?
Yeah, it's funny, I did a monthly recording today, and Steve made an intro me as like a radio superstar and asked if anybody's asked for an autograph. I said, no.
Thank you.
I
don't know what happened.
Yeah. No, but I did get a subpoena. Was that
They are hearing it.
That's
so
good.
That's good.
What we're paying them for.
Yep.
Very nice.
Randomly kicked out of it, I like my password.
Hey, Mark.
What's that?
I did get your email, so I'll be there. I'll be there for the store meeting. Store scholarship meeting coming up. I'll be there. All right. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Hey, you, how are you? I was in your office.
How are ya? Yeah, thanks.
I'm like, oh, this is Chris Walker. Oh, wow, those are some cool ball statements.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm on.
Good. I saw his tweet.
Yeah.
They're on or off. But they have to try to on the next week, all right?
Yes, but
Yeah. Right.
So we need to
You gotta be aware of that all the time. Former broadcaster, so I'm very aware. But I'll remind him that too.
Yeah, we found that out with Tyler too. That ostracized. One of the kids playing golf for Spring Harbor. Like a fifth or sixth year.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll work out.
It will.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody from the student advisory group want to lead us in the pledge?
Come on, let's go.
There you go. Which name?
Logan Gray.
Logan, and get us started.
I pledge
Allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. We'll call the roll. I'm present. Dr. O'Neill?
Present.
Mr. Heater?
Present.
Mrs. Bales? Mrs. Barnes-Griffin? Mr. Irvin?
Present.
Mr. Lowe?
Present.
Okay. We have a presentation tonight from the Student Advisory Committee.
I've got it on here.
All right, hello.
Good evening.
We are here to tell you a little bit about our group again and introduce the new members because we do have several alumni back, which is awesome. But this is a group that we've had, I think this is our 4th year for it now. I say that because I think the seniors have been on for all 4
Right.
years. So I'm just going to let them go with it. They're going to read our mission statement and then they're going to introduce themselves. Okay.
Hello. The mission statement for the Student Advisory Board is the Student Advisory Board was made to make the students have a voice in our school community and express to the school board any concerns or questions that our students may have within our community. And many changes have been taken at MCS, and we are continuing to do that, and we would love to continue working with you all. And we will provide, and the students deserve to be a part of the discussions moving forward within our community. And we were going to introduce ourselves next, so I'll just start. My name is Amaya Cates, and I am a junior at Muncie Central, and I have been on the board for 3 years.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I'm a current senior. This is my 1st year on the board, but I do plenty of other leadership activities.
My name's Sophia Brandt. I'm a senior, and this is my 1st year on the board.
My name is Nora Quirk. I'm a junior, and this is my 3rd year on the board.
My name is Logan Grady. I am a junior, and this is my 1st year on the board as well.
I like your mask.
Thank you. Glad we have a Cubs fan.
I'm Jessie Sadler. I'm currently a sophomore, and this is my 2nd year on the board.
And as you can see, we have a number of students here, but there are also a large number of students that weren't able to make it due to other extracurriculars or other after-school events, and they just weren't able to be here. So we have Leasia Bristow, Emma Ambler, Mackenzie Durbin, Zachariah Jones, Jordan Dildy, Hunter Matthews, and Lydia Stevens. They're all also on the board, but they just weren't able to make it tonight. And this year, we've already gotten a head start, although this is our first school board meeting, we've gotten a head start on some topics to explore. We've talked a lot about switching to a Latin honor system, so switching from valedictorian and salutatorian to more of a top 10, top 20, possibly giving recognition based off of GPA, something like that. We've worked a lot on dress code, looking into a student-led dress code, and working with the board to reform and reward parts of the dress code. We've also looked into beautification of the school grounds, something like planting flowers, mowing grass, and working with groups throughout the school like NHS for kids to get volunteer hours for going out and planting and just making the school look nice. We've also looked into changes in the lunch period and food lines because we've had a lot of problems with students being able to eat lunch and get their lunch in a timely manner. And finally, we've looked into possibly getting an AP counselor, so a counselor who would be at the school giving advice to AP students on what is going to look best in their schedule and what's going to get them to where they need to be in the next 4 years.
All right, one of the things that we wanted to really make sure we hit hard tonight was that we changed our meeting times. We used to meet at 7 in the morning, and that was getting really hard for the kids to do and hard for anybody else to make it. So now, since we have our advisory period every day, every day we have it, but we're having our meetings every Friday during that advisory period, and it's from 9:35 to 10:05. In my room, which is 428. So you guys are welcome anytime to come during that meeting time to meet with the kids. We've already gotten a lot accomplished this year. Mr. Walker has come in a few times. Dr. Kay's already come in and talked with the group. So they would love your feedback and just be able to talk to you about any of those things for sure. So if you guys have any questions, I told them just to be prepared to answer questions. So hit them hard.
I have a quick question. First of all, I continue to be impressed by the ideas that you guys bring, but also that you bring plans, so I love that. But I have a little bit of a challenge for you because you guys do a really great job of advocating for Central High School and its students, and I would love to see how you guys can help all MCS students and be their voice. So I'm going to challenge you to try to start doing that somehow.
we've talked about trying to get student advisory boards for other schools started. I know for me personally, I went to Southview and Southside. I have a sister there at Southside right now. And I know there's a lot of difficulties going on with their principals, so I would love to see something like that happen.
Yeah, I feel like now that we have the Zoom world to live in, the logistics might be a little easier now.
And I would follow up on Ms. Spales's comment. Would love to see this group branch out and be representative of those schools, because you've attended those schools and you understand some of the issues that occur, and those don't change overnight. So to the extent that time permits and resources permit, to the extent you're able to, say, pick a particular elementary during a period and say, okay, we're going to take a look at Westview or Southview or Grissom or Longfellow and sound out faculty or students or parents and say, what would you like to see us take to the board? That would be ideal. Now, I know that resources are limited and you guys are all busy students, but that would be wonderful if you would be willing to undertake that. And, even if it was a school a semester, and then we were able to rotate it moving on. For instance, we have, a project that's going to start here at EWA within the next few weeks, and, making sure that that project's not completely disruptive to the education there. That would be one thought, but give that some consideration if you would. Obviously this is your group, not ours, but that would be wonderful. So I know you've introduced yourselves, but I think the board would like to hear a little bit more about your plans, how you're doing at Central, and what your plans are potentially for post-Central. So Nora, you want to lead off?
Sure. All right, so as stated earlier, I'm Nora Quirk. I'm currently a junior at Muncie Central. I'm a little bit undecided on where I want to go for college, but I have started touring. Went to Vanderbilt last week. Didn't really like it, but that's okay. But I'm definitely looking into more of a pre-med route, looking into neuroscience. I'm currently enrolled in AP Psychology, AP Environmental Science, AP Calculus, courses like that will help me eventually in college and lead me to what I see myself doing in the future.
And what would that be?
Right now, it's kind of more looking like I kind of want to be a pediatrician, but then there's also a part of me that wants to be a psychologist. So we will see.
It is early, and the world is your oyster.
Yes, it is.
So, Logan?
I'm Logan.
Yep.
We've already addressed that part. I know that. I'm a baseball fan, clearly. But the thing about me is post-high school, I really want to focus on a specific college. I have a couple in mind that I want to go to. In November, I'm taking a tour of Virginia Tech. I want to hopefully play baseball there, go D1 if I can. The dream's alive. I'm really interested in music. I've been playing instruments and singing since I was the age of 2. I can play trombone, guitar, drums. A go-to one that I always have is Frank Sinatra's Fly Me to the Moon. I go a little classic just because, there are older people in the crowd tonight, so I like to keep it a little toned down. But post everything, I just want to see myself doing something for the people. Something I've looked into a lot recently has been music therapy, which is therapy through music. I think music speaks volumes for a lot of people, and I think it's untapped in modern society. I sure can. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Is that good?
So, Logan,
Yeah.
if you would be so kind, if you want to bring an instrument back and do a presentation, we'd welcome it.
Oh, yeah?
I'm serious. I'm serious.
I'll have to think about it. But
Okay.
yeah, I could definitely
Now, one other suggestion from Mr. Heater and his older self. Baseball's wonderful. I love it dearly.
If you're about to diss on the Cubs, we're
No,
gonna.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I will tell you, when you're in your 50s, you're having your music and that, that hobby, that avocation of playing instruments will serve you so well.
Thank you.
So, stick with it.
I'll try my best. Thank you.
Okay. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Josie. I will most likely go to Ball State. I'm not as musically talented as Logan, unfortunately, but I really enjoy working with kids, and they have a really good teachers college there, so something like that would be interesting for me.
And then she has a job for
Well,
when she
Jesse,
graduates.
yeah, we'll have a place for you.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Amaya. I am a junior at Muncie Central, and I would probably like to go somewhere into clinical psychology or somewhere in the math field. Maybe a math teacher, not exactly sure what type of math, but I like science and math type classes, so pre-calc and AP Chem is like my thing right now, and I'm in AP Psychology, which will hopefully benefit my ideas into going into psychology. I don't know where I'm going to college yet. I'm looking for Stanford maybe, but I don't know if I want to go that far because that's very far from Muncie, Indiana, but we'll see.
Great volleyball player.
Thank you.
I'm Sophia. Right now, I'm thinking of going to Michigan State next year. I'm looking into journalism and something writing-based English. I like to write how I feel about things and just get it out there. I think it'd be really neat to write maybe in a newspaper one day or something like that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Alicia. As you can tell, I've already applied to colleges. I want to go into the psychology field like a lot of the other ones up here. I personally want to be a clinical psychologist. It'll take a long time, but I'm the current Lilly finalist at Central, so hopefully that'll help along the way.
Thank you all. Thank you for your leadership, and we'll look forward to hearing from you on a regular basis. Thank you. Dr. Kwiatkowski?
Thanks again, students, and I see Chris Walker at the back. We just are so fortunate to have such amazing students that go to our schools. I enjoy every chance I get to hear from them and to see the work they do. I wanted to share that the George and Francis Ball Foundation is working with partners all across the city on the Cradle to Career initiative that we have. And we call these our CAN meetings. So this morning I met with many other groups around the city. We each have goals at different grade spans. And just another great way that we're having many people trying to help our schools be the best they can be. We just were notified, Chuck worked on the Ball Brother Foundation grant, and we were just notified that we are being awarded $425,000. The funds will go towards athletics, academic innovation, marketing, camp adventure, COVID relief, CTE. So we are very grateful for our foundations. Westview Elementary, they were just awarded a 2021 honoree for the IFLTA Wide World Award for a Distinguished Dual Language Immersion Program. We go on and on every year about the great program at Westview. We have fantastic teachers instructing those programs. And then I have to give a shout out to Mr. Ambler, the school principal, who does a great job, not only with our dual language program, but with his entire school. And I think that is it. As you mentioned, the East Washington Academy, we're getting ready. Brad will be presenting some things tonight. So we're excited to start some renovation on that school. So that's always positive when we can bring improvement to our facilities.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Kwiatkowski?
Just a comment, the grant, the total has to be enormous. And you guys have been really active in acquiring grant funding.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
we were at, since the time of the partnership, we've been tracking not our normal type of grants that we get through formula driven,
Right.
but through competitive grants in our
Right.
foundations. We were at about 7.5 million, so now this is going to take us to over 8 million. That's additional
phenomenal.
funds that
It
we're
is,
bringing
yeah.
into Muncie. Not, again, the competitive grants, but then our foundations have just been terrific to us.
That's a great job. Thank you. Yeah.
Very good. Any additional questions? Okay. Mr. Hyatt, you're up.
We have a 3-minute timer.
Chris Hyatt, 2812 Birchwood, Muncie. Be it remembered, back in September 14, Mr. Williams violated both my statutory and constitutional rights, which resulted in a formal complaint to the Indiana Public Access Counselor. Subsequently, this body formally engaged an outside law firm to defend itself against the same. As the response was authored as a defense of the board as a whole, I'm assuming that you all have read and approved the final rendering of your response. But just in case Mr. Williams had acted severally and outside the knowledge of the rest of the board, there's a copy of the board's response authored by Church, Hiddle, and Antrim. And if you aren't familiar with it for whatever reason, I would encourage you to read it, because it is about as disingenuous as Mr. Williams' virtue signaling diatribe of September 28th and his presentation to the Ball State University trustees on October 1. I would like to also make a matter of formal record my request for the board's minutes regarding the discussion and authorization of any expenses associated with this issue. Let me quickly move on to another one of Mr. Williams' disingenuous interpretations regarding House Enrolled Act 1315. And the 1315 was never originally intended to be a permanent fix-all for the troubled Muncie schools. 89 pages long, it reads in a more rounded understanding of the legislation as opposed to what Mr. Williams would lead you to believe. At the September 28th meeting, Mr. Arnold read you the Indiana State Attorney General's parental rights regarding public education in Indiana. We are now eager to find out how serious Mr. Rikita is regarding parental rights in public schools, as I seek a formal opinion of the constitutionality of the 18th chapter of Title 20, Article 23 of Indiana law. This cozy, non-democratic assemblage created by special interests and non-affected Indiana legislators cannot be sustained. I have no confidence that the local appointing authorities will have the will to impose their own sunset and plan to return the Muncie Public Schools back to the people and the parents of this community. And finally, I want to turn to the parents and the grandparents of the Muncie Community School students and remind them in Indiana you continue to have a choice of where and who is responsible for the education of your children, a choice of the schools of superior academic, a choice of what your children are being taught, an opportunity to be involved in a democratic administration of your child's education, where if you don't like what's going on, you can get involved and change things. A choice of schools that embrace public discourse and what to hear and what too many don't. A choice to not have your children have to endure oppressive, abusive, and unhealthy policies such as forcing your child to wear a mask for 8 hours a day, and even more importantly, to be rest assured that the minute they are authorized, the Muncie Community School Corporation will be undoubtedly mandating COVID vaccinations upon our children as well. So be reminded that it's never too late. You have a choice to control the most important aspects and experiences of the first 18 years of your children's lives and development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. Mr. Hines?
Hi, I'm Chris Hines. I live at 3321 North Barnhill Lane, Muncie, Indiana. I'm 36 years old and father to 2 children at Longfellow Elementary, third one at Muncie Central High School. The fellow before me covered a lot of my feelings pretty well, especially about the masks. That being said, that's not something I can change all at once by myself with the masks. I would like for the school board to maybe put out some information to the public as to what guidelines were followed in the coming to a decision about that. what kind of scientific evidence was followed for why our kids are having to be masked like this. But furthermore, as long as we're going to do it, I've observed something pretty unsettling about it. And I'm more concerned for a lot of other people's kids than I am my own, because I can watch my own more carefully, but not all people may watch them as closely about this. I've noticed several times that my children come home from school, during a time that they weren't living with me, and a lot of times when I would pick them up from school or they would get back from school, they would have a lot of food or mess in their mask. It would look pretty disgusting. And I think that if the school is going to force children to wear masks, they should have to supply the children with a new mask every day when they walk into school, and then a new mask every day at lunch, without question. And every child should be at least made sure that their masks are clean. I think that's really reasonable. If we're going to look at this and be up in arms about it and so scared of it, then let's really do some investigating in the problems rather than just making it all politics. The other question that I would really like to answer, and I don't know where else to go to find it out and get an answer, I don't know if you people are willing to answer me right now, but I would like to know, yes or no, is critical race theory being taught in this school to my children? Because my daughter came home to me the other day and told me that you can't be racist against white people because they have no culture. And that's all I've got to say today, unless anyone would like to answer the question I asked.
Okay, Mr. Hines, critical race theory, as I went through in detail at the last meeting, is not being taught in any of our schools. Critical race theory.
I wasn't here
I will
for
finish.
that.
I will finish. Critical race theory is a graduate level or law school level theory.
Okay.
We are not sanctioning. It is not part of our curriculum. Our social studies curriculum is strictly within Indiana standards and meets Indiana standards. So
Okay.
you can rest assured that if she heard that, it wasn't part of any curriculum that is being organized or sanctioned by this board.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you answering my question.
And I
that's
will
all I need.
address the issue of the mask as well. We consulted closely with Ball IU and specifically the physicians at the hospital, and then the Department of Health locally and the State Department of Health. It is not our desire to keep kids in masks. Believe me, we hate it. COVID seems to be receding a bit. We will see where the next month or two leads us in terms of any resurgence, but it is our goal, again, watching the numbers locally. We continue to see a remission of those cases. If we can get to a point where community spread dips down, we are going to seriously look at going away from masks, and that is certainly our goal.
Okay,
as soon as
good. Would it be
possible.
possible for me to have the names of some of the physicians that you guys consulted with on
We
that?
consulted with Dr. Bird and Dr. Voss, the chief medical officer at the
Okay.
hospital.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, yeah, I mean, I know Dr. Voss a little bit. He's a great guy. And,
Yeah, we consulted closely with Peter
I
Voss.
I want to make sure we're being careful as we can and not too careful at the same time, because with the dirty masks and stuff, that
Yeah.
kind of thing really can get kids sick.
And I will ask at this meeting that we communicate with our principals that we always have clean masks available to the kids. Certainly, we have a supply of masks available at the school.
Yeah.
And that if principals see somebody with a filthy or dirty or soiled mask, that
Yeah.
we get them a new mask.
Yeah, and sometimes it may not be so noticeable if, like in my kids' case, a lot of times they'll wear a mask that has a lot of darker graphics and things on it, cartoons, things like that. So it may not be readily apparent from the outside.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a very, very, very valid point, and we'll take steps. We'll send messages down the chain to make sure we get cleaner masks. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. And we did, if you will look on the website, there is posted there a PDF of the board presentation at the last meeting that goes in detail into the curriculum issues that you raised. So
Okay.
I would encourage you to take a look at that PDF. which I think will give you some reassurance.
Okay, well, I really appreciate that. I thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you for your
Everyone have
time.
a wonderful
Appreciate it. Addressing Mr. Hyatt, who has left the meeting. The material put together in response to the open door complaint by Church Hiddle was based on statements of, I think, 5 witnesses at the meeting who put together statements for the lawyer under developing the facts and conclusions of that meeting regarding the constitutionality of House Bill 1315. We have to count on the level of expertise of the Indiana legislature, where it received broad support within the General Assembly, as well as from the governor's office, and it is not without precedent on a nationwide basis. So with regard to choices of schools, we would, again, as a board, indicate that our position is to always place the welfare of our students at the forefront, and that welfare includes their social and emotional and psychological development. And I understand the difficulty of the past 2 years. It's not been easy for any one of these students here tonight, me, anybody else. We are all doing our level best with the first major pandemic in our lifetimes. If you look at the news, the political nature of this pandemic has become vitriolic and unproductive. However, it is not new. If you go back and look at history during the 1918-1919 flu pandemic, you saw many of the same issues arising. When people's lives are disrupted by threatening and little understood infection that no one can see or predict, those anxieties oftentimes bubble into significant disagreement over how best to manage them. This board, along with the input we have sought from epidemiologists, doctors, those who are treating COVID cases in the community, have done our level best to balance the needs of our students academically and socially with their physical safety from this virus. As we've done so, unlike many other schools around this state, we have kept our classrooms open for last year 180 days. This year we have not seen our classrooms close. This is unique, and we've done so by taking the steps, and I would applaud our leadership team, Dr. Kwiatkowski, Dr. Reynolds, Ms. Phelps, and Mr. Jerome, Dia Young, who's back, Dr. Young, who's back there, and others who have worked tirelessly on our reopening and management plan to make certain we had kids in the classroom to the extent it was humanly possible, and we managed to do that for the vast majority of our students last year and again this year. So, Mr. Hines, I appreciate your position. And in June, I was relatively comfortable. By July, in conversations with Dr. Voss and others, they gave us guidance which we felt was necessary to keep our schools functioning, and the governor's executive order, which indicated that if our kids had on masks, we did not have to as broadly quarantine students, which again enabled us to keep the majority of our students in classrooms in a manner that many schools around the state have not been able to do. I understand the challenges that have been faced with the kids. What we should be talking about, in all candor, in terms of the education, not only in Muncie Community Schools, but across the state of Indiana and this nation, is the learning loss, which is still being measured, which has occurred over the past 18 months. The learning loss which has been endured by these students sitting right here and their peers at all levels has been nothing short of drastic. These are students who will struggle, the ones we have here and others, to catch up from the impairment that has resulted from this. There's no other word for it. It's a tragedy, and this is one of many issues, and that is the learning loss that has occurred at all levels. I want to again applaud our leadership team. We had over 500 students attending catch-up programs over the summer, but it's a drop in the bucket. So as we fuss and argue over a variety of things in House Bill 1315, if we could make up the learning loss which has been suffered by this generation of students in a meaningful way, I could care less what happens to House Bill 1315. I really could. We have a serious crisis nationwide that is getting scant attention because of all the fussing over, quite frankly, nonsense. So with that, we will move.
Point of order, Mr. President, are you allowing any other public comment from the audience?
Public comment is over, Mr. Inser. Thank you. And the audience doesn't have the right to do a point of order, by the way. We're moving to the consent agenda. Consent agenda. Any questions concerning that?
I have a couple quick little edits. On the minutes, I think it's noted that Mr. Basham was here from the Visitors Bureau, and he was here representing the Rotary, distributing those checks, so just to fix that. And then on the fundraising document, I think girls is spelled wrong on girls basketball.
We think, or are we pretty sure?
I didn't know she changed it before we started.
Any other questions? So I want to take a moment and introduce Mr. Mike Raiders. So Mr. Raiders, if you'll stand up for a minute, I'll introduce you. Mr. Raiders is our new principal at Southside Middle School, and we would welcome him here tonight. Mike Raiders went to Wabash College, which I'm personally proud of. I think class of 1985. Was it 85 or 86?
85.
85, and he was 3 years in front of me there. I had nothing to do with his hiring, incidentally. He then went to Franklin Schools, Franklin Central?
Franklin Central.
Franklin Central Schools, and where after from there?
So I was at Franklin Central. Actually, before that, I was at Cecina High School, Franklin Central High School, and then went to Wabash, back to Wabash as Associate Dean, served in that capacity for 4 years, and was promoted to the Dean level, and served in that capacity for 11, so I was there for 15 years total. I know I was a social studies teacher, so I know that it's not an even number. 15 years is an odd number, I'm aware of that, but it's kind of even-ish in terms of a solid time to say, okay, and time to go. So went into the education consulting world. Last semester served on an interim basis as principal at Mount Vernon Middle School, Mount Vernon Community Schools, and back in the consulting world. And here I am today.
So Mike was also a fantastic baseball player. So
And a Cubs fan as well, like Logan.
So the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. I have, in the consulting world, I follow schools very carefully and recognize the efforts that this group here and the leadership back at our school, Southside Middle School, are trying to take to turn around schools and make us as strong and increase the learning and narrow that learning gap that Mr. Williams talked about as much as we possibly can. I believe that you do that by putting the students at the center of every discussion, every decision, and I also believe that we do that by developing good, positive relationships with our students, first and foremost, our staff, our faculty, other administrators, and other members of the community that support our students. So that's me in a nutshell. That's what you can expect from me. I have high expectations a lot of experience at different levels, and I will say that what I really learned, especially at Mount Vernon last semester, was that kids are kids, and leadership is leadership. And so the skill set that's needed, the how to do things is really pretty consistent. And here again, you can expect me to be consistent in my approach.
Any questions for Mr. Raders? Thank you, and let us know how we can support you.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions concerning the consent agenda?
Just a quick comment about Lisa Letzinger. How do you ever replace her? You don't. She's one of those teachers that's just hard to replace. So thank you for the year she gave us. Really
Yes.
excellent. Yeah.
Thank you, Jim, for raising
Yeah.
that. With that, would entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have next on the agenda the MCS YMCA MOU. Anybody get a chance to review that document? Any questions concerning that? Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
All those in favor, or pardon me, second?
I'll second.
David's got a
Mark,
second.
Mark.
Any additional questions from the board? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Financial report, Mr. Jerome.
Thank you. Included in your board packet is the financial results and the information for the month of September. Just a few highlights to report that we did receive our state basic grant in the month of $3.3 million. Still holding to our enrollment count in September of 4,900. I think it might be 4,925 right now. Still up significantly over last year. Up 164 since February, up 117 since last September. It's still in the final reconcilement phase with the state, so that's positive news. Payroll is about the same as last year in the month, but year to date it's up because of our pandemic stipend that we had paid plus raises. We finished the month with a little over $30 million in the bank, still have over $9 million in rainy day. Still expect to be in a positive cash position at the end of December. Still paying $50,000 a month on our common school loan to the state of Indiana. As we get closer to the end of December, that's our snapshot, the end of the 12 months. So that's when we have to make sure we don't spend over our overall appropriations and our various tax-supported funds of Operation Fund, Education Fund, and Debt Service. So we're still on target to do that. And that pretty much concludes my report for September.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Jerome? Would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions for Mr. Jerome? Following the motion. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have permission to fund project over $50,000 from Mr. Jerome.
Thank you. This project right here kind of continued on from the project was started long before the pandemic. This was to install some special needs playground and playground equipment in sections at Grissom Elementary. Really, at this point now, we have the coming together of several grant opportunities at the same time to be able to afford these pieces and parts to make this happen. So because it is over $50,000 with the vendor Commercial Recreation Group, we're asking permission for a motion to approve this with funding coming from Community Foundation Grant of over $59,000. ESSER 3 was $42,988, and the Special Education Grant funded of $150,000. So we're looking for a motion to approve.
Okay, you've heard the presentation. Any questions? And this is for the playground equipment, special needs. Okay. And where is it being located again? I missed that.
Grissom.
Grissom, I'm sorry.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll show that passed. Dialogue of the board, anything? Anything at all? Okay, media questions?
Mr. President, Rick Yenter, Monday 150. Would you mind telling us and the public what you just signed with the YMCA?
An MOU.
I get it, you explain it in English.
It's written in English and you have a copy, I believe.
No, I don't.
Okay, we'll get you a copy. Okay.
My name is Reed McCoy. I'm a Ball State journalism student. I am out on assignment for a project to cover the YMCA project in NLU. Currently looking for a couple interviews for that. Set up an interview with the CEO for the YMCA already. So if there's any public, I do need a second interview for that's from just regular public perspective. So if any.
Mr. Klotz will work with you to get an interview set up.
And anyone in the audience, I will be saying that after the meeting, about general perception of Muncie community.
Okay, thank you. Anything further?
My name is Nathan Ganger. I'm also a journalism student at Ball State. I've got a pretty similar project that I'm covering the special needs playground. So if there's anybody on the board that would be willing to set up an interview with me, I would appreciate that.
If he works with Andy, we'll get that.
Yeah, if you work with Andy, we'll get that too.
And then also if there's anybody in the audience here that would want to talk with me, I would appreciate that as well.
Okay.
How exactly are we going to address issues with parking with the new YMCA at Central? Because when we tried to bring it up during their convocation to the school board members here, the student advisory board, and the YMCA members, it kind of shut down our questions.
So we have, on the reconfigured drawing, you're taking no spots on the north side of Central, and out of 550 spots, you're only losing about 7% of those spots in the process. So you're going to have, as opposed to 550 spots, about 490 spots that remain in that area, plus overflow parking.
We still have a lot of issues in the afternoon when it comes to like parent pickup and stuff like
And we're going to reconfigure.
in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are reconfiguring all that to provide for traffic flow in a manner that actually improves the current and existing pickup structure.
And what exactly would you do to make sure that we have parking available, or if the school can, if it like,
We are creating some overflow parking where we're going to create an additional overflow parking on the south side of the football field. Okay?
And I should add that most of that study is underway with CRIPE,
Correct.
a civil engineering firm that will study both egress into and out of the parking lots, time of day, flow of traffic, and the parking situation. So they will bring back to us a report and tell us how to address that.
Yeah, that we're still in a very early
Right,
stage.
early
but the
stages.
Very early stage, but the preliminary drawings indicate that even before you create overflow parking, we're talking about a loss of 50 spots. We're going to add more than 50 spots back on the south end of the football stadium.
are you also going to address the fact that a lot of their programs aren't really available to those who may be at Central who are more low income?
We are,
Are you going to make that available for like at a really discounted price or for free possibility?
we have community funders who will be providing, we're looking at community funders to provide funding to provide universal access to MCS students.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Is Andy? Andy, we have two Ball State journalism students who need to set up interviews regarding a couple different issues. So Andy's right there in the tie and suit. Thank you. Oh. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.